Before we get into today's video, let's talk about you, viewer. Yes, you. The fourth wall can't protect you from SCP Explained. It's time to talk posture. Look at you, curled up like a human question mark. Do you have no respect for your spine? The more you slouch, the more you'll resemble some kind of obscene humanoid shrimp. And it won't just affect your confidence, it'll affect your health too. You're at risk of scoliosis, joint degeneration, incontinence, constipation, headaches, digestive issues, a whole bevy of health problems. And all because you can't be bothered to just sit up straight. So straighten up, hold that pose, keep it through the rest of the video. Because if you ever cross paths with this anomaly, the moment your shoulders start to droop could be the moment it notices you. I knew someone who didn't take that advice. His name was Harry, a down-on-his-luck type who bounced from job to job, couch to couch, roll to roll. And of course, he was always slouching. You could probably picture him, even if he wasn't on screen right now. The thin frame, the long stringy hair, the baggy hoodie will join him sloping down the back streets, feeling like this world did him wrong, that he didn't have the opportunities that others had. Society has never done him any favors, so why should he play by society's rules? That's how he started his habit of petty theft, the easiest way to make a little extra money for his other habits. We'll leave that part to your imagination. On the day Harry encountered SCP-1196, he was boosting radios from parked cars on the edge of town. It was so easy to begin with. Just walking from car to car, trying the door handles, and punishing any unlucky fools who thought, "What's the harm in leaving my car unlocked just this once?" From there, it was taking candy from a baby. He'd use a flathead screwdriver to jimmy the radio out of the dash. He'd then take it to one of the local pawnbrokers who were more than happy to look the other way and play fence for a little extra scratch. Of course, when reports of his activities started to pop up on local community Facebook groups and on police bulletin boards, his job got a lot harder. Folks got more consistent in locking their cars and setting alarms, but that had only been a minor setback. He started bringing a long metal ruler in a duffel bag on jobs with him. You slide that down past the window and into the door. It's easy enough to disengage any lock. After the satisfying click of the lock mechanism inside the door, Harry swung it open and climbed inside. His back, predictably, hunched. He whipped out his trusty flathead and carefully worked out the radio with bomb squad precision. Yes, that's it. Easy does it. It didn't take him long to get the radio out. He'd become a seasoned professional, but his comfort with the process made him less careful, and he didn't notice the unmarked police cruiser rolling up on him until the flashing lights and sirens flared up. Harry panicked and dropped his screwdriver, sending it into that liminal crevasse between the gearshift and the seats. There was no time to reach in there and fish it back out. He needed to get out of there, and he needed to get out now. He hugged the radio to his chest and made a mad dash through a nearby alley, trying to blank out the calls of "Stop! Police! Drop the radio." Like hell he was going to drop the radio and make all this trouble for nothing. He ran as fast as he could, sneakers squeaking against wet pavement. As he fled, he tried not to think about whether they could lift his fingerprints from the screwdriver and send him down like that. In the panic of the chase, Harry tripped and felt a sharp pain against his chest. He'd fallen onto the radio and shattered it beneath him. No. All its valuable components scattered across the blacktop. It was a Sirius XM. That could have gotten him real money. But he couldn't afford to mourn. He could still hear the sirens and frantic footsteps coming from behind him. Damn it. Harry dragged himself up to his feet, adrenaline allowing him to ignore the pain and disappointment of the fall, and ran for it. It was a full 20 minutes of running before he eventually lost them, and the whole affair left him feeling exhausted and depressed. He didn't want to be a petty thief. He wanted to be a successful thief. And the way he saw it, if he ever wanted that to happen, he needed to upgrade to bigger scores than boosting car radios for a little spending money. There had to be a better way. And that's when the better way fell, almost magically, into his lap. In the alley that he'd found himself in, he noticed a business he never realized was even there before. Dr. Dopp's Chiropractors. One of his mom's boyfriends had been a chiropractor, and he drove a Mercedes-Benz. Clearly, there was money in this game. But what attracted him to this particular business was another sign out front, by appointment only. Cash closed on weekends. And just like that, the plan unfurled in Harry's addled mind like some enchanted scroll. A cash-only business would be perfect for robbery, and if he waited for the weekend, there's a decent chance he could make off with the entire week's proceeds. He'd make the kind of money in one score that'd take him months of stealing radios. It was perfect. But he knew that if he wanted to stop being a small-time criminal, he needed to stop thinking small-time. He needed to start thinking like a real master thief, and that's why he began his recon mission, keeping an eye on the building over the course of the week, getting a sense of its comings and goings, maybe even see where the money is being kept. Harry felt like a real smooth operator watching from a secluded position across the road, eating out of a large bag of Lay's chips. But as the days stretched on and the weekend drew closer, it started to occur to Harry that something was actually kind of weird about this place. It had no shortage of clients, which definitely boded well for his big score come Saturday. But so many of those clients seemed to come after dark, and maybe it was lapses in his own concentration, but he could swear that some of them never seemed to leave. Of course, there was a simple explanation for that. They were probably just leaving through the back door. But what he couldn't account for was the strange behavior of the man he assumed to be Dr. Dops himself. He was an older man who'd come and go from the office frequently, but every time he came back, he'd bring a chair with him. Sometimes a cheap folding chair, or a chair you might expect to see in a doctor's waiting room. Other times, older wooden chairs, or ornate chairs you might find in an antique store. The building wasn't even that big, so where was he putting all these chairs? And why would a chiropractor need more chairs than an auditorium? It didn't make any kind of sense. But Harry didn't care. Not really, no more than a passing casual curiosity. All that mattered was that Dr. Dops was clearly cleaning up, and soon enough, Dr. Dops' good luck would become his own. Saturday rolled around and night fell. Dr. Dops hadn't appeared at the office at all that day, so by Harry's calculations, it was the perfect time to strike. He'd invested in a small battery-powered hand drill that he could use to destroy the lock on the front door, and from there, the spoils would be all his. Harry closed the front door behind him and slithered in. It seemed even more cramped and old-fashioned on the inside, with only 2 chairs out in the waiting room and a desk where he assumed the receptionist would normally sit. But where would Dops keep the money? Harry snuck through the building with his trusty flashlight, scanning for anything that might be of interest. He found a number of sealed boxes marked with the word "Menses" written in black marker pen on the side of the cardboard, but they only seemed to be filled with glue sticks, not money. Harry was beginning to worry that this whole thing was going to be a bust. And then he scanned the flashlight a little to the left, where it caught the pallid glare of Dr. Dops staring at him. Before Harry could run or offer some word of explanation, the twin metal prongs of a cattle prod pressed up against his chest. When Harry woke up, everything was dark, and his body was laid out across wet earth and ground. He still had his flashlight and switched it on, casting a thin cone of light across the room around him. He was in a basement, it seemed, dungeon-like with slimy old walls and a dirt floor. Had he been kidnapped? Was that what this was? Was this room underneath Dr. Dops' building? Oh God. Had Dops called the cops and was just holding him in here until they arrived? This was bad. This was really, really bad. He tried scanning the room to look for some kind of exit or even a vulnerability in one of the walls that perhaps he could exploit. That's when he heard the quiet rustling in the room around him, the movement of something skittering across the dirt. He panicked and whipped around, the light following his gaze, until it fell upon a chair. One of the very chairs that he'd seen Dr. Dops carrying into the building earlier in the week. Was he keeping them down here in the basement? And then the chair talked in a voice that reminded him of Mickey Mouse.
Fix your posture.
What?
Stand up straight.
And with that, the chair skittered away, its legs moving like that of an insect. And it wasn't the only one. Harry turned, following the noise, and saw the others. All the chairs that he'd watched Dr. Dops meticulously carry in over the course of the previous week. All those chairs moving around like a freakish, impossible colony of bugs. The basement was a chair nest. Harry did what he could to get out, feeling over every patch of the walls as the minutes passed. Over time, the chairs kept skittering around, barking orders and judgments at him.
Stand up straight! Stand up straight!
Their voices were getting louder, deeper, until Harry had been in there for an hour, waiting worriedly for the police. But poor Harry didn't know. The police had never been called. He screamed when the chairs set upon him, striking and stabbing with their harsh, angular edges of their wooden legs. They struck and rendered the flesh of his legs with surprising ferocity, and when Harry collapsed to the ground, he was quickly overwhelmed. And then there was silence. You probably want a little context for everything you just experienced. Context that our unfortunate slouching Harry would have never been able to receive or understand. This is one of the lesser-known anomalies in the Foundation's vast catalog, SCP-1196, also known as Chairopractors. Get it? This is an anomaly localized entirely in the basement of a North American chiropractor's office, which seems to uniquely affect chairs for reasons unknown. If ever a chair is placed into this basement, it will become alive and sapient and begin moving around the basement using its legs. The chairs will move around freely regardless of if a human is in the basement, but if a human does enter the area of effect, then the chairs will begin to speak, vocalizing in squeaky, high-pitched voices. The following are examples of some of their stock phrases recorded over the course of Foundation containment.
Stand up straight! Don't slouch! Fix your posture! Slouching causes scoliosis! I said stand up straight! Straight!
Now you might think that following the commands of the chairs at this point might make everything kosher, but that is not the case. The chairs will make these comments regardless of the state of your spinal health, and if you remain in the basement, they'll become increasingly angry with time. This will first result in their tone of voice becoming more harsh and severe, before then escalating to acts of physical aggression. The chairs will start to behave like an angry pack of wolves, circling you while yelling at you about your poor posture. If you don't leave within 60 minutes of first entering, the chairs will attack, beating, tripping, stabbing, and crushing you with their legs. It'll be a shockingly vicious onslaught for a gang of chairs, and the only way you can avoid your fate is getting out of that basement, seeing as the chairs cannot remain alive after they leave the anomalous area. If the person isn't able to escape and the massive chairs do, in fact, beat them to death, their tones will immediately change. While they will attempt to bury the body of the person they've killed, trying to use shovels to dig into the earth and failing due to a lack of fingers, they will also express remorse for their crimes. The Foundation has recorded a number of apologetic phrases they've heard from the chairs after these events have taken place, including,
"We're sorry. Apologies. I'm sorry. Tried helping. Forgive?"
The anomalous chairs of SCP-1196 clearly have pure intentions, even if their actions end up hurting people far more than helping them. Strangely, chiropractors themselves are actually much the same in that regard. But here's the twist. Non-anomalous chiropractors may have actually killed far more people than this anomaly ever has. Studies performed by non-anomalous research organizations have confirmed this. Chiropractic care has been mired in controversy and pseudoscience since the very beginning, born from the belief that so many of the conditions we all suffer from are all down to pressure on our spines, known as vertebral subluxation. This obviously isn't true, but even worse than this, the common chiropractic technique of cracking necks is as extremely dangerous as it sounds. Your neck is filled with a huge number of extremely delicate blood vessels, and the cracking process can damage these blood vessels, causing blood clots that can then travel up into the brain and cause a fatal stroke. Multiple people have died this way directly after seeing a chiropractor. So all things considered, we think we'd take our chances with the anomalous chairs in the basement. Now go check out SCP Community, 15 Insane Ways to Escape Containment, or How Not to Kill an SCP, SCP-1609 Remains of a Chair, for more.